Retro Ricky here, ready to return you to those thrilling days of yesteryear when dinosaurs roamed the world. Way back when I was just a kid in the late 70s and early 80s, it was a fun time to be a kid. Every dad had a CB, truckers and fast cars were on TV, but we also had real-life road hazards, those horrendous family road trips that I still have nightmares about. Back then, driving around aimlessly for entertainment was a thing because there just wasn't a lot to do on a weekend.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Hey, what's the big deal? I didn't even use any other names in this video.
Sorry about that.
There were no smartphones and only 3 channels on the TV.
Well, thank you. I really couldn't hear a word you were saying.
Boy, is that a Western? I'm not sure, Dad. I think it's Wild Wild Kingdom, maybe. Kinda hard to tell. And thankfully, at least, these road trips mostly occurred after Saturday morning cartoons were done. I remember Dad's old 72 Nova, only it wasn't really that old back then. No air conditioning, unless you counted the air from the open window. But boy, was it hot driving through town in the summer months, when he had to drive slower. The heat had to be hot enough to melt our brains.
Excellent! Their minds are gone!
You get used to it, of course, I guess. Winters were always fun, but at least cars usually had heaters, and they only took an hour to get warm. I never had a garage until I grew up years later, so a cold car back then was really cold.
Welcome to Gotham City, Mr. Claus.
Being kids, of course, we'd try to stick our heads and hands out the window, which would get the dad yelling, "Get your heads back in the car!" Mom yelled, but it was never scary like Dad's yell. His shouts were the cause of many false earthquake readings back in the day. I'm sure he must have thrown off the science of earthquake detection by at least a dozen years or more. I wonder how many people thought World War III had just begun.
Either it's the end of the world or Retro Ricky left his bike in the driveway again.
Someone has to do something about that kid. He's a threat to national security.
My younger sister loved to peck at me with her finger. She would constantly touch me just to aggravate the living fire out of me. Kind of like Woody Woodpecker after 10 cups of coffee. I'd yell, "Stop, don't touch me!" over and over, and finally I'd hit her back, and then she'd scream, "Mommy, he hit me!" Then my mom would turn around and fuss at me. She'd say something like, "You know boys aren't supposed to hit girls. Don't let me catch you doing that again." So as soon as she would turn her head, my sister would stick out her tongue and start pecking me all over again. You know, one of these days I'm going to have to ask her, why did you do that? Oh, another thing I remember about riding around in the hot summer, on the occasion that Dad was forced to stop the car to get gas, I have never and will never again taste anything as wonderful and thirst-quenching as an ice-cold Coke in a glass bottle. These days, of course, my diet prohibits sugary soft drinks, but back then I lived on the stuff. Water was unthinkable. Only in the direst of emergencies, when my very survival was on the line, would I ever drink water. Now, back in 1977, gas was only like 62 cents a gallon. I had to look it up, though, because, back then, I didn't have to pay for it.
I'll never pay that, do you hear me? I'll walk to work before I pay that. I'll sleep there, do you hear me?
Seatbelts were a foreign concept to me back then. My parents never wore them. I'm not sure if they wear them now. Of course, it's the law that you have to wear seatbelts these days, but the idea of mandatory seatbelts back then was like science fiction, or something from 1984, when 1984 was still in the future.
You will learn to wear your seatbelts. You will never drive faster than 55 miles per hour, even when you are late to work. Do I make myself clear?
Dad hated all the government-mandated emissions equipment they put on cars back then. He always bragged about how much better his cars ran after he took off all that extra junk he didn't need, which, in all fairness, they did run better. Today, of course, you need a degree in computer science and technology just to change a spark plug. And back in the day, people threw litter out on the roads like it was second nature. Of course, today, most people realize how bad it is on the environment, but not so much in the 70s. Dad was slow to catch on until he saw signs threatening hefty fines. Dad didn't play the radio very much, except for gospel, country, and one type of music that I honestly hated. And that was the easy listening elevator music channel. The kind of music that is probably not allowed for prisoners of war according to the Geneva Convention. I'm talking music so slow it could literally sap your will to live. Thank God that channel eventually went to soft pop or something like that. But I know there's another easy listening channel out there somewhere, waiting, and it's my greatest fear. I loved it when we got to ride in the back of the truck. No seatbelts, just us and the hard metal underneath. The only thing holding us in was us and the occasional shout from Dad to sit down. Yeah, looking back, going down the interstate at 55 miles per hour better in the back of a truck may not have been the safest way to transport kids. But hey, we did survive the tale to tell at least. Barry, did you see what I saw? What I think I seen? Nah, couldn't be. Dad loved to aggravate truckers on his CB. He did this pig sound that either got laughs or curses, and he just said really oddball stuff to aggravate them, whatever popped into his head.
I think we got Porky Pig on the radio.
Yeah, that's all, folks.
Who's that? You love that water.
I think some of those truckers said some curse words that I still do not understand to this day. Well, those were the days when everyone had a CB, and apparently everyone was stealing them. I vaguely remember something about all the men at church got their CB stolen right during the church service. I think they got Dad's that day too. Of course, he got another 1 or 2 or 3 before the craze was over. For all I know, he's still taunting truckers. So what was it like riding around with your parents back in the day? Post your memories in the comments below. If you want more stories based on real life, let me know. In the meantime, check out my last Freddy Cat cartoon mystery, which included not only a new adventure with Freddy Cat, but a parody of the Hulk, one of my favorite TV shows from back in the day, and my favorite TV sheriff of all time.
Hulk smash!
Let's see here now. Unlicensed smashing, that's gonna cost you. Disturbing the peace. I love it. Oh, indecent exposure.
You making inevitable Hulk angry.
Threatening an officer of the law. Shame. So, thanks for watching. Y'all come back now, you hear?